Hi! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Welcome again to It Gets Better's annual Global Summit 2024. I am so excited to be here in this session with Erica and Sunny, talking about queer youth-led initiatives in North America. I'm just so excited for this panel. I'm so excited to chat with you all about your programs. My name's Ray. I use they, them pronouns. I am the Senior Coordinator of Education at It Gets Better, It Gets Better USA. And I run the Youth Voices program at It Gets Better. So I'm really excited to chat with you both about that program. But I'm going to let you both introduce yourselves and the youth programs that you lead. Erica, why don't you go first?
Okay. Hi everyone, I am Erica Cisneros and I am based in Guadalajara, Mexico. And as of right now, I am the coordinator of the Student Council, that it's a national-led initiative for different youth-led LGBTQ initiatives and LGBTQ groups, etc., etc. So yeah, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, Sunny.
Fantastic. My name is Sunny and my pronouns are they, them. I'm the program coordinator at It Gets Better Canada. I lead the Youth Advisory Committee, which we're very, very excited about. It's really close to my heart, particularly. So I'm really excited to be talking about it today and talking about how youth-led initiatives are working in Canada and what we've been up to. Thank you.
Amazing. Let's get started with kind of an overview of each program. I'm happy to start. So Youth Voices started in the summer of 2020. And since then, it's become really, it's grown a lot. Summer of 2020, I believe we only had 3 youth ambassadors that worked with us for just the summer for Pride. And now it's turned into a full year-long program where we take on 10 youth voices from across the US. They're all ages 13 to 18, LGBTQ plus activists, leaders, artists, students. They do all kinds of things in their communities, but with It Gets Better specifically, they come together twice a month to connect and work together and collaborate and really just build the skills to... I hear a dog, sorry. Okay. Oh my gosh. I love working from home. What was I saying? They come together and they work on a lot of collaborative opportunities and really just like work on building the skills to share their story in an impactful way. Because really It Gets Better is all about storytelling, of course. And so my job is really to connect them with the opportunities to share their story in impactful ways and just give them the tools and resources and community to feel empowered to share their stories. Erica, how about you? What does your youth program look like?
Yes, it is my dog. For me, it's the Student Council here. It's a national initiative, and it was born actually not long ago. It was born during the pandemic. So I joined. It Gets Better with the pandemic, and I still was a student myself. So I wanted to do something for students since I know that there were already so many groups that were active and that had different activities already going on around the whole country. So what we do is that we work each semester, usually for during a year. So we usually start in August with like different students from all around the nation. So it's normally around like 10 to 15, and they are kind of like representatives from their own organizations or groups or, like however they want to call themselves. And what they do basically is just letting us know how we can help them. And usually when you're a student, you are also like kind of in this boat of not really having anyone having your back. Sometimes it happens with school, sometimes it happens like in different ways. So we try to really help the students however we can. And usually we also do have some kind of output, some kind of media that we can share with other students, with teachers, etc., etc. It's truly up to the students on that semester, on that year, what they want to create and what they think that it is important for them to, to give to the community. So yeah.
Wonderful. So our youth advisory committee in Canada seems to be the baby of the family. It's our inaugural year. We got started in May with our 10 youth advisory committee members who meet monthly to, yes, who meet monthly to inform our programs, provide feedback on the content and work that we're doing. We hope that this is a really good opportunity to kind of lead our programming and be able to give us that youth voice that is really important behind all of the work that It Gets Better Canada does, as well as provide these youth with professional development opportunities. Our youth advisory committee members are between the ages of 18 and 24. So many of them are students, many of them are just getting started into the professional world. We really want to be able to be giving them that head start and that step up to be able to develop the skills and confidence that they need to be doing, their work, their advocacy, whatever they're passionate about. And moving into the world as young adults. So I'm really, really happy with how our youth advisory committee is going this year. We have 10 fantastic youth, and they're helping out with our programs. They are going to be co-facilitating some of our workshops. So I'm really, really excited about the youth advisory committee.
Congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you.
Sounds awesome. So I think I already kind of like talked a little bit about it, but just kind of like wanting to know a little bit of Sunny, you just said you are like the baby of the programs, representing the baby of the programs. So a little bit of exactly how they were born, So over here, the Student Council was born, during the pandemic, and everyone just was scrambling to know how to help, know how to continue the activities that they were already doing. This was just like 180 degrees change. So I was still a student, and I've always been very involved as well in my school with like all of the pride projects, the groups and everything. So I was like, well, I mean, maybe we can do this like a little bigger. I had the opportunity to meet Alex, and that's how it got started. I was like, I want to volunteer, I want to do something. I'm a student and I want to continue giving back, because as a student myself, I often felt like I not always like had the back of someone, or I felt like I needed a little bit more help. And definitely an organization as big as It Gets Better, that has so many presence in so many countries, it was definitely very helpful, to have their back. And I mean, the way that It Gets Better also focuses on youth, definitely was like the icing on the cake, like we needed this and they are trying, we are trying to help each other. So yeah, exactly. That's exactly how the Student Council was born, and we just kept continuing it because students are always active, which is also very good and very nice to see. Like the youth definitely is seeking out these opportunities, so we have to create them for them. What about you, Ray? Being the eldest of the programs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty similar. I didn't come into the role of kind of leading Youth Voices until about a year after it had already started. So it was started by my supervisor, Justin Tyndall. Shout out to you. And Justin started it, like I said, in the summer of 2020. I believe it was like very similar. It was a response to, COVID-19 and, youth being stuck at home and not having that connection to their community, to their queer peers, if they even had that to begin with, which a lot of queer youth don't, but even more so then. And especially around Pride season, we really just wanted some young people to be able to share their stories on our platforms. And so that's how it started, and then just, evolved from there. And I think my favorite thing about the program, honestly, is how it keeps growing each year because of the feedback we keep getting from these young people. Like, they are so invested in the growth of the program. And so they keep coming back. They keep wanting to help shape it into being a better and better program. And that is like my favorite thing to watch, is just like having them take that initiative and really just let them create the program that they think it needs to be for them. So yeah. What about you, Sunny?
Well, It Gets Better Canada was very lucky to be able to look to both of your programs, Youth Voices US and Student Council in Mexico, to be able to kind of inform what we could do and we wanted to do, because I know that having this kind of youth voice in the center and leading our work is something that we've been wanting for a long time. And when I came into my role, that was one of the key priorities, was setting up this youth advisory committee to be able to have this program going and leading our programming, our content. And so this was something that I was really, really lucky to be able to speak to Ray about, and to look at what is happening in other affiliates, to be able to inform how our youth advisory committee was going to be born and brought into this world. Actually, this brings me to another thought, which is creating the formal structures for our LGBTQ plus youth leadership. This is something that I was really lucky to be able to speak to Ray about, and to look at what other people were already doing, because I know that it's really important for us to be able to set youth up for success in knowing what we're asking of them. For us, this included putting together an agreement that included like terms of reference as well as a code of conduct, because we know that this is sometimes the first serious or professional role that these youth are taking on. This is the first time a lot of them have signed or seen a contract. So it was really, really important for us to make sure that they are aware of what they're being asked, and make sure that they know that they have the capacity and ability to follow through on that. We know that, like, in addition to asking for their time and knowledge, we're asking for their lived experience. And that is a big ask. And it's important that we're very transparent about what that is going to be for them, what it's going to look like. We are make sure that we set up structures along the way as well. In each of our monthly meetings, we have really structured agendas that we send out ahead of time, so they can take a look through of it, know what they're going to be talking about, what they're going to be looking at, as well as a post-meeting brief is something that we've implemented that I'm really happy about. It's where we lay out everything that was talked about during the meeting, as well as what the agenda or the action items that came out of that was, so that they know that what they said was heard. They know that what they said is being implemented, and they can also track how that's being implemented by who, and we provide updates on that. So it's really important for us to have these formal structures that I was able to be informed about by looking at the work that you're doing. So I'm wondering how creating these formal structures went for you, and how you've seen that elevate LGBTQ plus youth leadership in your or your programs. Maybe Erica, if you want to get started.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we already the same. We already had youth voices, so that was something that we could look at, and we could like get inspiration. And I mean, these programs, I think, aren't like born out of nowhere. Like, we really have to sit down and have like. And I think that's something that is not really seen from the outside, but we have to sit down and we have to see, all of the things that you were talking about, Sunny. Like, we are working sometimes in our case, and I'm sure that Ray will echo this, especially with minors, and you have to be like very careful in handling information and knowing that you're giving correct resources, information, just everything for the youth that we can possibly can. So yeah, it was a little bit kind of like the same road that you had, Sunny. So we had to look at the Youth Voices Initiative, and we were also, like, we're working. The majority of people that we work with are usually like in college and university, so it's kind of like wondering what they want. And usually what we have seen is also different generations, as we call them, like every year. They have different necessities, and they want to create different things, and usually we just kind of like let them. It's like free creating a space, whatever they say fit, we try to help them with. So yeah, that's what we work with. And we have worked with some high schoolers as well, so the terms of having like all of the information for underage students and everything has been also very important for us. We always try to protect well, no, we'll always protect. We protect. We protect information and private things for everyone. I think security is definitely one of our key pillars. For all of our students and for all of our youth. Definitely, it's one of the most important things for us. So yeah, right. What about you?
Oh my gosh, yes. Everything that both of you said, totally. I think it's really, I mean, you both touched on it already, but we're working with a very sensitive group, not sensitive, just like, very, they're being targeted in a lot of ways. They need as much protection as possible, but they also need to be trusted, and they need to be given the space to just shine, but a safe space to shine. And so, yeah, exactly what you said. Like, a lot of these folks are minors that we're working with, and so we really need to make sure that everything, all the structure is put in place to make sure that they're protected, that their identities are protected, laws are being, followed, everything like that. But then even going beyond that, I think, like, for folks who are thinking about starting a youth program, like, start with that, obviously. But then I think the rest of the structure kind of starts to build itself over time, going through trial and error, getting those experiences with the young people, like having them inform you what kind of structures work for them and what doesn't. And that's kind of how Youth Voices has grown. Is we started with very little structure, and we've grown so much, and now we have we work within frameworks that we know are tested and they work. And so, building into that and building up to that, I think was really the key, and not being scared to just try it. But now we work with, positive youth development, which is a framework that is tried and tested, and it works really well. And we make sure that all of our programming fits within positive youth development, making sure that they have access to safe and supportive environments, resources, et cetera, so many things. Just making sure that Youth Voices is kind of built around that, but also thinking about the ladder of children's participation. And so if you do a quick Google search on the ladder of children's participation, you can see kind of, this escalation of, like, how involved are the young people in making decisions that the programs are doing. And so we're trying to keep working our way up that ladder as much as possible so that they're more involved in decision making. So structures like that, I'm a big fan of. I geek out about it because I think it's just so important. And the more that we can really, like, ground ourselves in those frameworks, the better we can be in the long haul. Another thing another thing I geek out about is just, all the structures that we have in place to make sure that they feel safe and trusted within this community. And so, we've implemented the safety triangle. So we never communicate with the Youth Voices on a one-on-one. It's always a one-on-two. So there's usually either 2 young people or 2 staff members or whatever. There's always 3 of us involved. And this is for everyone's safety involved, and just to make sure that everything is above ground and we're all working together to make sure that everybody feels safe and comfortable and supported. That's one that we implemented very early on to ensure the safety of our young people. I feel like I could go on and on, but I'll leave it at that. I think, again, just emphasizing, like, it takes time to build out these structures, but as long as you're focusing on their comfort and their safety and whatever they need to feel empowered, that's the best place to start.
Oh, thank you so much. Right. Yeah, I think that all of those little details and ideas that we have of the programs, they really add up, to creating a really solid base, and to create what exactly is going on right now. And you were also saying a little bit before that about the children ladder. That's the name. Which I also think it's so important, and it also kind of combines with what truly it gets better is trying to do, which is all really putting into perspective, like, all of the prioritizing the perspective of youth. I think that sometimes we live in a world where it's very like adult centric. So really having the youth telling what they need and giving them the opportunity to truly get their ideas on the ground and be taken seriously, not as like, oh, you are a kid, like how would you know, or what do you know what the real world is? They are living in the real world too, so I think that getting all of these youth to the places that they have to be, to the connections that they maybe want, and getting them all of the resources that maybe are available for them but they don't know yet about. I think it really empowers them, and it really lets them know like your perspective and your voice is important. And that is something that is not giving everywhere, which is not good, but we tried our best to do it here in the student council, and it gets better as general, as an organization. And I think it's also very important to hear their perspectives, especially because sometimes I think as an adult, you kind of get disconnected through what younger people are experiencing. With so many laws and so many changes all around the world, it's so important to keep up with everything that is happening, and LGBTQ people exist in every age group. So it's important to know, all of their perspectives, the things that they need, the ideas that maybe are way better than anyone else have thought of. So yeah, I think I'm very also passionate about it. So Sony, what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, I definitely agree about how like essential it is to prioritize the youth perspectives in our work, especially with programming and content and everything changing so quickly. I would be a senior youth, I would say, and still I feel so out of touch with a lot of the things going on right now, with a lot of the even the language that's being used. I don't know if anyone else has been getting those videos on Instagram of like Gen Z slang, and I've never felt older. I just have no idea what any of it means. But this is something that like is really, really fantastic because we can bring stuff into conversations with youth and figure out, what is going on, what are you passionate about, what appeals to you. I know that the youth are so important for us in informing what's going to engage people, especially in digital platforms. We're a very digitally based organization, so it's really important that our storytelling or our content or our programs are actually reaching its audience. And the youth are so great at letting us know what it is that maybe is not getting there or what they think would. They have really, really valuable insight and perspective, just with their lived experience, just with what they pick up on a day-to-day basis, talking to their communities, talking to their friends, engaging online. And that's something that is so, so important for us to be leaning into and to be listening to. I think for youth perspectives on our programming, it's really important because a lot of the issues we're talking about have shifted and changed a lot. The way in which to us hate is being received by youth has shifted. A lot of the ways in which they have like the avenues they have for addressing them have changed. And the experience of even just like being in school has shifted so much in the like 5 years since I left. That for me to come into a classroom and be doing a program, say on anti-choice LGBT hate and bullying, it's not the same as when I have a youth who was in high school last year and can say, "This was my experience. This is what you actually have access to in your community. This is actually what you have access to in terms of in your school. This is what it looks like when this happens. This is how you can respond to it," is so much more valuable than what I can usually provide. So it's really, really wonderful to be able to have these youth who can share their perspectives, share the lived experience, and also share their skills. I think that's the other thing I really love that you mentioned is that they do have valuable skills and knowledge. They have, expertise that I might not, beyond just, living a few years younger. Youth are so talented and so fantastic. So it's really, really important that we recognize their wholeness and all of the value that they bring to our programming and the work that we're doing. Ray, is there anything that you want to add on that?
Just snaps first off, like, yes, I completely agree. I think I'm thinking back to what Bruno said in the last session about how this generation is the most queer, this generation is the most political, and I think that just speaks so many volumes to their power and their need to be seen and heard, and their ability to do it and their ability to make it happen. And not only that, but just in general, young people, they're known to have, a more expansive imagination. Like as we get older, we lose a little bit of our imagination. That's just kind of part of growing up for most people. And imagination, I really believe, is what's going to help us make a better world. We have to imagine the world we want to create. And I think young people are at that sweet spot. They're right there where they're self-actualizing, they're learning about themselves, they're exploring these terms and these slang words, and they're creating this language for themselves, and they're being political, they're being aware of like global scale activism and movements, and they're being involved. And so they have this global perspective and this internal perspective, and they are the ones that can shape the world because of that position that they're standing in. And I think that's why it's like just the most important to position youth in as much leadership as possible in advocacy, and to just give them the mic. Yeah, thank you both. That was so good. Oh, Sunny, you're muted.
Yeah.
Oh, I got too excited about talking. That's fantastic. But I was really enjoying the conversation we're having around like how powerful and competent and wonderful youth are and how they can take on these leadership roles. But I think it's really also important to recognize the challenges that they face in doing that. Because we can pass them the mic, but if we don't set them up for success, we're really doing them a disservice. I think that one of the major things for youth around taking leadership roles in advocacy and community work, especially, is around the lack of like compensation for their labor. I think a lot of the advocacy and community work that youth do can be draining. So either compensating in some sort of filling their cup way, or we think it's really important for us in our program to provide a stipend, because we recognize that they are doing work, they are volunteering their time, they're volunteering their knowledge, their skills, even their lived experience, and that takes a lot. And that's why for us, it's really important that we have funding for this program, and we're able to compensate our youth. I think that like a lot of the times we ask youth to do a lot of labor, and they're really excited about it. And often I do have youth who volunteer to do things, and I think it's really important that we let them know that their work is valuable and that they should be compensated in some way for their work as well. I think especially when we're asking vulnerable or diverse voices to speak up for entire communities, that could be an incredibly difficult task to have. Our youth advisory committee is only 10 committee members. We have a really lovely diverse range of voices, but I recognize that there are committee members that are the only one in our group that hold that identity. And often they are speaking up for their community. They are speaking to experiences of their community, and that's a really wonderful, powerful thing to do. But it's also a lot to put on someone's shoulders to speak for an entire community. So for us, it's really important that we diversify our avenues of these voices. So whether we have our youth network where we have creators come in and do that work and speak to their own experiences, as well as we are hoping to expand our youth advisory committee to be able to bring in more voices. It's really, really important for us that the youth feel supported and that they feel like they can take things on, and also that they're not being tokenized or pressured to take on labor that is not within the realm of what they can offer us or of what we're asking. So I would love just if maybe Erica, if you'd like to speak a little bit to some of the challenges you've seen for youth advisor or youth leaders, and what kind of barriers they might be facing.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God. And like echoing just absolutely everything that you say. I think that also, related with what you were saying, I think that people also expect for you to have like all the time in the world, as if they don't have like other responsibilities, as if that they aren't supposed to have hobbies, as if they aren't supposed to go out with friends. Just kind of everyone expects, like, oh, you're a student, like just wait until you get your real life. That's their real life, It's it just happens that they are younger. That's all. So yeah, 100% with you here, Sony. And I think that's for me. I mean, oh God, I mean, just what I was talking about a little bit. I think it's a very adult-centric world. And here in Mexico, I think that a lot of the times we see it with teachers, and a lot of the times we see it with parents. I think that it's kind of like a condescending tone to what would you know, like people kind of like belittle their ideas, and they don't really want to take a chance on maybe some programs that the youth may want to start, or they won't just give them, like you said, Ray, the mic. They just won't do it because they believe that just adults know better. And that's something that we see a lot here. I think there's been an amazing revolution with teachers and educators, and in which they are trying to really empower youth instead of this like power disbalance. So it's kind of like, I'm helping you, you're helping me. So that's amazing, but we still sadly, have to deal with different maybe authorities that try to stop this kind of stuff with initiatives. And that's exactly where we try to come in and try our best to get these ideas to reality. So really, the youth knowing that they have somewhere that they can be heard, I think can be powerful. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. What about you, Ray?
Oh my gosh, I agree so much with what both of you said. I think another unique thing, like what I said earlier about, this is the queerest generation, but we also sometimes forget, especially in these like activist spaces, that it's still really hard to come out in a lot of places. And I think that's the barrier I've been running into a lot is, in order to be an LGBTQ plus advocate, you have to out yourself in a lot of ways. Not all the time, but in a lot of ways, it does out you. And so how can queer youth participate if they're not safe or comfortable coming out to their family? Can like building out like more anonymous ways to be active, more kind of behind the scenes, that's not something that we've really explored a lot yet because we're such a front-facing storytelling organization. But I think it is a huge barrier for a lot of youth in how they engage with this kind of work, is like they don't want to put themselves out there, or even not even that, but like we've talked about, like it is a very emotional thing that we're asking them to share their personal lived experiences in a lot of ways. That's a big part of advocacy. And if they're just not comfortable sharing that, if it's re-traumatizing for them to share those things, that can be a barrier. So I think that's a really unique one in this particular movement. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. But hopefully that's part of the work that we're doing, is making it more and more accessible and safe for folks to come out. I want to dig a little bit deeper into leadership also with both of you, and like how we're providing leadership opportunities for these young people, giving them more opportunities to make the decisions behind the scenes in our organizations. Because I think we touched on it a little bit, but it is something that I think a lot of youth organizations don't do, or they're starting to do, is more like youth-driven work. And it takes a lot of work to kind of incorporate that. Something that we're doing at It Gets Better, that we just started. So, we've been doing Youth Voices for 4 years now. So we have a pretty good list of alumni who have gone through the program that we're really excited about. And so we've been trying to figure out ways to keep them involved. And so we've started a youth advisory committee of our alumni. And we've hired 2 co-leads of this committee. And so these are former youth voices who are now, in college, living their lives, getting jobs, being advocates in their own communities, but they've also been through the program, so they know what it's like to be in the program. They're still connected to queer youth. And so we've given them this opportunity to both be in charge of the alumni network and sit in on our board meetings and talk with the board directly about our organization and the direction that it's going. So that's one step that we've made recently in making our work even more youth-led and youth-driven and youth-informed, that we're really excited about. So this is our second year doing this now, of having youth on the board. So that's been really exciting. Sunny, how about you? I know this is, you're still in your infancy, but what kind of ways have you been able to have your youth organization more youth-led and youth-driven?
Yeah, so it's really important for us that what comes out of our monthly youth advisory committee meetings is implemented across our organization. Our post-meeting briefs are shared with our board so that they can be informed by what the youth are saying, what the youth care about. We also are making sure to make space for the youth to push back against us. It's really important to us that the youth use their voices in ways that make them feel empowered and comfortable and great. Like, we want them to challenge us and tell us what doesn't hit the mark or what is important to them that we are not doing. We've had some really great conversations around accessibility, both of our organization and also how they want to be incorporating more disability justice into our the work and the content that we're talking about. That was a really interesting thing that came up recently, as well as talking about like the importance of advocacy and protests and calls for justice within our Pride work. I think the thing that I'm really loving that youth are bringing forward is pushing us to keep going, like keep working, keep calling for more, keep asking for more. Because I think sometimes as an organization, it's been around a while, I find a lot of what we do is celebrating how far we've come as a community. And I think that's really wonderful. A lot of our, awareness days and celebrations are really, really wonderful. But the youth, as you said earlier, this is one of the most political generations. They care a lot about everything happening and they want things to continue to get better. And they're really, really passionate about that. And I really love that they're continuing to push us to work towards a better and another better, which is really, really great. I think that I'm really excited to see how else we can incorporate the youth leadership into more and more of our organization. It's really informing like our organizational culture because we make sure that what they're saying is shared with everybody. I think almost we're smaller organizations, so we're able to come into a lot of youth advisory committee meetings, and everybody in our organization has had a chance to bring something into the meeting to talk to the youth directly and to be able to make that connection and get that feedback. So it's really fantastic. Erica, is there anything that you want to add?
Okay, what you both said was amazing. So yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like I've been just echoing what you have been saying, but it's just been very good. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of like the same. It's making everything accessible for youth. It's very important. I feel like, it's not like, oh, you wouldn't get it, you wouldn't understand. Like, youth are intelligent and youth will be the change of the future. So they need to have all the right tools to do it and all the information to do it. So we try to make it as accessible and ready for them. And also, like I was saying, it's kind of like an open table, because when I was creating this program with Alex, we were like, okay, we can just like, easily be like, hey, this is the agenda that we want to work on, and this is what we're going to work during the year. Like, we could have done that, but we were like, no, the youth knows what they need, and placing them in the center and for them to be telling us what they need and them creating exactly the solutions that they need, that's exactly how we're going to create real change, and not only the change that we think that they may want, you know. I think it's a very important difference. And while having an agenda, it's still so important, because without it, organizations literally wouldn't be able to exist. I think that giving the opportunity for youth to really have like their passions heard, I think that's exactly how we are going to create not only change right now within our organizations, within our programs, but also the leaders for the future, and the leaders that will be working with in the future too. So I think that's how we basically do it. And I mean, we don't have much time left, but I really wanted to know, like, hearing you talk right now has been amazing. And I mean, we already know of each other's programs, but still, like, going deeper into exactly, like, how we work, how we think, it has been like very enriching. So thank you so much for it. And I mean, I just kind of like wanted to bring the conversation into how we can work together, because we are all making things like very similar right now. That I'm hearing Sony, for example, talking about continuing working with youth and having, like, ex program members talk about how they have being leaders afterwards and everything. I think that's something that could be so beneficial to us, especially because of what you were talking about, the transition to adulthood. It is definitely a very confusing time. So as much help as we can give these people is they will be like amazing. And Ray, as you were also saying about how you give this youth initiative all of the center of attention, and having meetings with the board and everything like that. I think that will be also amazing for the student council, just to not feel like, oh, just another program. I think it's important to get them involved. So I mean, I know that I will definitely like be setting up a meeting with you guys soon. But yeah, is there any other way that you see us, like, collaborating? Ray, Sunny, whoever.
Absolutely. I totally agree. There's so much that we can collaborate on. I think just even connecting the youth together in some kind of like pen pal situation would just be so cool, to have queer youth corrected across different countries. Sunny, what about you? Any thoughts?
I love any opportunity to collaborate with the other affiliates in the project. I think it's such a generative and wonderful experience. I think especially for our youth, it's a great opportunity for them to feel heard on a bigger scale, and to be able to connect on a bigger scale. I think especially for the youth from Canada, it's really fantastic when we can work particularly with the States or with Mexico, and they're able to feel like they can get out of a little bigger than what they're used to, and feel that they're able to connect on a global level. I know that that's something that's actually come up with our youth advisory committee members before, that they want to engage with issues on global levels. They want to engage with communities outside of the ones that they have access to in their day to day. I mean, the wonderful thing about being a digital organization is that we have so much access to each other and to the world. So I think it's a really fantastic opportunity for us to open up the world for our youth, and also to create some really generative and exciting creative projects with each other.
I totally agree. I can't wait. Well, to wrap up the conversation, I mean, the biggest thing I think is just encouraging folks to create more youth-led programs and opportunities. If each of you could give like one piece of advice to folks who are wanting to start like a youth-led program, what I want to ask, like, what would it be? For me, I mean, I think we've been talking about it endlessly, but just listen to youth, like, and have them kind of be the folks that drive the conversation. I think is like the foundation of all of it, that it should be. But Erica, what about you? Any advice?
God, yeah, I mean, probably exactly as you said, listen to the youth. And I think also don't be afraid to pivot. I think that, and to, change your ideas and change how maybe like the program is run over time. You will learn and you will know what the youth wants and what works better for the program. Yeah, I think don't be afraid of change and don't be afraid of collaboration and don't be afraid of anything. We're all learning and we are all creating, so as long as you do it with like good intentions and everything, it will be fine. What about you, Sunny?
I agree. I think that openness to change and growth is really important when working with youth because that adaptability will serve you really well. But also, I think it's really important in youth to not only be really clear about what our asked expectations are, to be really communicative with them, but also make space for them to communicate with us. I think a lot of the time youth come in very intimidated. Youth come in thinking that they have to have only the best ideas or only speak up when they have something really important to say. And I think it's really important to make space for youth to share ideas that are half baked, to make mistakes, to call us out on things. And I think it's really incredibly important to admit to youth when we don't know something or when we make a mistake because I think that gives them the opportunity to feel, on like a peer to peer interaction. It gives the opportunity to them to feel like they have the space to be able to take risks, to take on challenges that will allow them to grow and allow them to create some really beautiful and wonderful things. So just have fun, be creative, be open, and just make space for youth.
Sunny, I love that so much. I to close us out, I want to say the next session we get to see a youth representative from each of our organizations, and they get to talk about topics that are passionate that they are passionate about. So I'm really excited to see that. But Sunny, to your point, that the youth representative that is coming from It Gets Better US did exactly that last year and was like, hey, I have some feedback. I have some thoughts. And we had like an hour and a half meeting talking about how they want to see It Gets Better in the Youth Voice program improve. So I think that's just a great example of like being open to feedback, being open to pivoting, like Erica said. I think that's really important. So I'm really excited for that conversation. I'll be in the chat. I hope you two will be too. But thank you so much for being here, Erica and Sunny. It was so great chatting with you. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the Global Summit. Bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.